Of course, I still got the old bridge from like many years ago. I can't afford to take it down.
Right.
It's all like rusted.
Do they stop you before you get there and make you put on your floral colored shirt?
Yeah. Ready? Call or pledge of allegiance, please. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Tim Brown.
Here.
Council members Richard Orphan.
Here.
Chris McClatchy.
Here. We have a motion to adopt the agenda.
I would like to, I don't know if this is out of turn, but move item 4F out of the consent agenda and into the regular meeting so we can discuss it.
Okay. And where you want to place that?
Before, can we do it before petitions and make it
Yeah.
before the Northland
5,
Securities?
8.5 or
Yeah.
something like that. Okay, we can do that. Okay, any motion to accept them changes?
And then I would make a motion to accept the revised agenda.
Second. Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pass 3-0. Okay, do I hear a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Okay, hear your first and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pass 3-0. And meeting open to the public. Anybody signed up to talk?
We had 3 people tonight. The first one is Liz Fairbanks.
Okay. Would you come on up and state your name and address and have 3 minutes?
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Liz Fairbanks. I'm at 24360 Ucama Street, St. Francis. Couple things that I come across this last week, actually the last couple of weeks. Regarding the stormwater deal, there's a lot of people who have not received that discard. I have asked a number of people if they maybe have just tossed it by chance, whatever, and they said no. I showed a picture of it, and a lot of people, I work at Beach, so I speak to a lot of people. And nobody, or not nobody, but a lot of people do not know what this is all about, so I tried to explain that to the best of my knowledge. So that's something that I should be aware of. Also, it's been brought to my attention, some people are concerned that the 6 o'clock time is too early. Is it possible to start at 6:30 or 7? People work in the cities, they come home, sometimes traffic's bad, especially with construction here. Obviously, we're hitting that hard too. I'd also like to bring up building permits. As an individual homeowner, we actually we're trying to build a deck, the back of our home, and was denied. Really for no reason whatsoever. So I'm going to contact the guy again, but I just wanted to see about getting more specifics on building permits. If that's something we can do. Because the application itself only asks for a description, not a blueprint, and they basically turned my boyfriend down because they wanted every detail, like down to the kind of color, which is ridiculous. So just thought I'd bring it up. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second one, Joseph Wheelbauer.
Joseph Neubauer, 3459, North West. There's a couple things that I see on the agenda tonight that that I'm hoping you guys will elaborate on during the meeting or whatever. First one is a pay request for career construction. How much was that? How much is it? I'm just kind of interested so that the people that read the minutes or watch it online have more education. I know there's probably information packets and whatnot, just make it more easily accessible. Also, I see here on the covenant and obligation of the city to be bound by and to use the provisions of the Minnesota statute section, blah, blah, to guarantee the payment of principal and interest in the bonds. My understanding, we had to put out bonds because we started construction too early before we got the money from the state. And this kind of things, not that it's necessarily, I don't know who goes about starting those things, whether it's the council or the administrators or whatever, or if they act under the direction of the council. But the fact that it started before we had the money, I just find it irresponsible and not for kind of negligent, I guess. I mean, that was an honor, not to try to disrespect you guys. The other thing here I just seen was the authorizing and reauthorizing membership in the 4M fund. If we're authorizing or reauthorizing membership in the 4M fund, how do we send out cards already if we're not authorized? And, or am I just misunderstanding? And I just read this just now, so it came up, so anybody can answer that. I don't know if you can or not.
I'll take a stab at it.
Sure. Well, the 4M fund is the municipal money market fund. It's different than, I think, the MS4, that I believe is what you're referring to.
Yeah.
So they're two totally different things. And
Okay.
George Eilertson, our bond consultant, will walk through that when he presents.
Oh, you're right. All right, I guess that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one is Mary Johnson.
Mary Johnson, and I live at 4010 Gardner Circle, Northwest, in Francis. And I was listening to WCCO the other day, and they were talking about being a free-range city. And the reason I want to bring this up to the council is because my grandson came here from Nevada 2 years ago, and he was out looking for friends one day shortly after he was here. And he ended up over in the trailer park, not knowing where he was, but he wasn't lost. And a little bit later, a policeman brought him home to our door and was wondering why we didn't know where he was and why he was out loose. And that's not the kind of community that I want to live in. And on WCCO, they were talking about a lady who lived in Connecticut who had overslept, and her son had gotten up and went to school by himself. And some people in the neighborhood saw this kid walking to school and called the cops. And the cops took him to school, and then later the cops went to this lady's house, and she ended up in jail because she was noted as an unfit parent. And I don't want that to happen here at St. Francis. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? Be here. Okay, moving on. Let's do 5.5. Yep. We decided it was going to be for the pay request, number 4.
Yeah, my main concern with it is it's an change order. And the biggest part of the change order is requesting an additional $40,000 because they encountered dirt or rock and debris while drilling under the Rum River. I guess I don't see how that's a change order. You had to drill under the Rum River. They should have bid for that. And it seems like it's a $40,000 for us to make sure they meet their profit margins. And the other thing that was on there was for more fittings than were anticipated, which I can understand, but the original intent was they were drilling under the Rum River. It should have bid for encountering gravel and dirt. So I don't understand how there's a $40,000 difference for that. Do you I mean, is there another more detail, is there more information than that? Because I'm not gonna vote yes for this unless there's something dramatically different.
We need to-
Mayor Pro Tem, Councilmember Orpin. Yeah, actually, there is additional information about that. And you're correct, absolutely 100%. They did bid the project to drill under the river. According to the contract documents, the contractor needs to make multiple attempts to get underneath the river if they encounter obstructions. In this case, what happened was they drilled through with a pilot hole, and then the way the drilling process works is they attach a reamer and ream the hole. They had a 10-inch reamer on there. Basically, the teeth are made out of carbide, metal, really hard metal. And when they pulled that back, it was a brand new reamer, and that reamer was it was unusable. So in that case, basically, if it's rock, typically they have to deal with it. Their argument is that it's concrete and other debris underneath the river, and ultimately we can't determine that for certain. I can tell you that they spent a number of additional days on that project, and so they do have a responsibility for that. The number that you see before you this evening is significantly less than what they submitted, and that was based on reviewing inspector time schedules that they actually spent out in the field, as well as the portion of work that they're required to do. So ultimately, the good news is that the pipe is under the river, because there was a point during the project that was it was looking like that wasn't going to happen, and then they would have had to set up somewhere else and redo the whole project. But at any rate, it is under there, and your concerns are definitely valid. That they did bid it. They were required to do multiple attempts for the contract documents, and this reflects the amount essentially over and above the contract requirements.
I guess my concern is with what you just described is, well, one, I would like to see the contract provisions and then maybe see what they initially bid or what they initially proposed for, and then this is the reduced rate, it's 48,000. My concern is that, like, they could say whatever they want is under there. Like, how do we prove that it's rocks and something that they would normally expect to find under there as opposed to what they're claiming concrete? How do we prove that? We're kind of it seems like we're in a rock and a hard place, no pun intended.
I agree. And that's exactly the discussions that I've had with them. So we can provide that information to you. And ultimately, at this point, you can not take action on the change order. And there's the pay estimate that goes along with it. So you could approve that without the change order if you were so inclined.
Would that screw things up if we change if we approve the pay estimate without the change order? I mean, is that going to come back and bite us if this is really as low as you say it is compared to the original? Is it they're going to come back and say, well, actually, we can't accept a change order unless it's this amount?
I'm not sure if I fully understand your question, but basically the contractor, I know the contractor won't be real excited, but we'll work with them through that. And certainly, I don't think that they're going to, provided the delay isn't extensive and exceedingly long, I think it'll be fine.
Okay. Well, I'd like to make a motion to do what the city engineer said and approve the pay estimate with delay the change order until the next meeting so we can get some documents to see so we can look at what's going on for the $48,000 increase, which seems like it should have been bid into the contract.
I'll second that. Okay. Have any discussion on that? I do have one thing. You said there was cement underneath the river?
That is what is believed to be under there. Typically the rock boulders, if you will, the drilling head will typically bounce off them and around them. But in this case, it actually drilled through what appeared to be drilling through a continuous solid piece of something. And the information that what we've seen in the past, if a drilling head hits a round rock, unless there's a flat face on it, the drilling head will go around it. But in this case, it did not, and that's evidenced by the reamer on the rig.
We could find out who put cement underneath our river, how they did it. That'd be interesting to find that one out.
There was a lot of speculation as that was going on.
Okay. Let's call for the question to what the motion was. All in favor, say aye. Aye. That's 3-0. And moving on to petitions, requests, and applications. Northland Securities, you're up.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Several items here related to the Bridge Street financing. And I'll walk through those, and certainly if you have any questions, please let me know. The first is and this isn't a resolution, this, each time we assist you with a financing or issuance of bonds, there's a municipal advisory agreement that is in your packet, states what our duties are, getting the bond sale together, putting together the offering document, taking it through the rating, et cetera. So that's an agreement between the city of St. Francis and Northland Securities for our role in that issuance of bonds. And then following that, there's 3 resolutions, and I can certainly go into some detail on that. The first is a resolution providing for the issuance and sale of the bonds. Just make note right offhand, or right first, that you're not issuing debt tonight. Tonight is the initial resolution that you consider that approves a sale date. So in your packets, there's a finance plan summary that details the timing and the structure of the bonds. The timing is that tonight there's a resolution I just referenced which calls for the sale to take place on June 6th. So council, that's the date that we would take financing bids in the morning. I would come back and present the financing proposals to you and recommend award to the low bidder. Just a little more detail on Bridge Street. And a good question from the public was, is this your first financing for Bridge Street? And actually, as the council may recall, back in the fall of 2015, you financed the first phase of Bridge Street. So $690,000 was financed in 2015. The $1,955,000 proposed bond issue would provide the balance of that financing to complete the project. So that's the purpose for last year's financing, and this year's financing will round out the project. The new bonds are a 20-year structure. It's paid primarily by sewer, although there is some water-related expenses in the project as well. These bonds are again based upon the current bond market, quite favorable. We've got an average interest rate based upon the current market at about 2.65%, so that's your weighted average interest rate over the 20-year term. Won't know the final interest rates, of course, until June 6th, but members of the council, Mayor, any questions about the structure or timing of the bonds?
No.
Okay. So again, that's the first resolution, again, just setting that sale for June 6th. There'll be another more formal resolution on June 6th that accepts the low bid and the actual issuance of bonds. Mayor, the second resolution noted is what we call a reimbursement resolution. Now that type of resolution, and this is something you did back in 2015 as well, a reimbursement resolution, in short, provides the city flexibility with the issuance of taxes and bonds. What the city may encounter is prior to the closing or when you receive the proceeds of the new bonds, there may be project-related expenses that you'll have to pay before your bond proceeds come in. So the reimbursement resolution allows you to reimburse yourself, reimburse the general fund or whatever fund you might pay out of with the proceeds of a tax-exempt bond. So again, it doesn't require you to do that. The timing may be such that, that you'll have the bond proceeds before you have any expenditures, but it just covers the city in the event that you do have any project-related expenses prior to receiving the bond proceeds. The receipt of the proceeds should be approximately July 1st or slightly before, maybe towards the end of June. So again, council, that's what a reimbursement resolution is. It's something we've done in the past, and again, just allows you to pay yourself back in the event you have to cover any expenses with the general fund or other city funds. The third resolution in your packets is the covenanting to enter into this state program for Minnesota Statutes 446A. It's a rather wordy resolution, but in short, what that is, and this is actually something you did when we issued your temporary bonds for bonds in 2015 as well. And that's a state of Minnesota program administered through the Minnesota Public Facilities Authority. It allows the state to guarantee the payment of principal and interest on the bonds. So an investor that purchases your bonds now has additional comfort, if you will, knowing the state of Minnesota is standing behind your debt. That allows the interest rates to be a little bit lower on your bonds. The city has an existing AA bond rating. The program, or the credit enhancement program rating, is AA+, so one notch higher than the city's rating. The only extra cost to the city for this program is a $500 application fee. We would be going through a bond rating for your Bridge Street bonds regardless, because you have such a strong bond rating, and it certainly benefits you to get that rating assigned. And that would be assigned a double bond rating. The program rating, again, goes one notch higher, a AA+. So again, that's a program we recommend. It's very good program for utility-related projects. Again, the city utilized this program back in 2015 as well. Mayor, council members, any questions on those three resolutions?
Do we have any?
Is it safe to assume the AA+ would be well worth a savings of more than $500?
That's a terrific question. And, actually, I looked at that just before my presentation. The $500 application fee is going up one notch. What does that one notch benefit the city? Approximately $13,000 of interest savings over the life of the bonds is what you would expect.
Okay.
It's about 0.5%, so not a lot, but it's the equivalent of going from 2.65 down to 2.60 interest rates. But over the life of a 20-year bond issue, that should benefit the city approximately $13,000.
Okay.
Any other questions? Let's get at it then. We have resolution 2016-11. Do you hear any motions? Oh, go ahead.
There's the municipal advisory service agreement that we could pass separately on top of the resolutions. That's appropriate.
And just a motion is fine.
Just a motion.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Sorry about that. Okay, municipal advisory service agreement. Do we have any motions to pass that?
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Approve.
Approve.
Second.
Second to approve. Any other discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed 3-0. Now we get to the resolutions. 2016-11. Do we have any motions to approve that?
I'll make a motion to approve 2016-11.
Okay, do I have a second? Second. Second. All in further discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And pass 3-0. Next one, resolution 2016-15.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2016-15.
Okay, and do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pass 3-0. And the last one, which would be resolution 2016-16.
I'll make a motion to approve 2016-16.
And do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pass 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now we get to hear the presentation on the roundabouts, Bridge Street improvements.
Good evening, Mayor Council. The presentation this evening, since construction will be starting back up on the city's portion of the project, and as a result of some questions actually from some younger citizens, which are civics class students, we have a presentation just to get everybody up to speed again on where the project's been and where it's headed over the next couple months here. That screen identifies the project background and history, and as you can see, the project has been in discussion since approximately July of 2017, when the first federal funding application for the project was submitted by Anoka County. Subsequent to that one, 2 additional applications were also submitted, and then in July of 2011, the project was actually selected for federal funding. So that's kind of when everything kicked off from the project standpoint, as far as securing the funds and moving forward with plans and the preparation of the joint powers agreement. As part of that process, also a river crossing study, if you recall, was conducted, and that evaluated existing river crossings within the city and outside of the city to determine if potentially there would be an additional crossing or improvements necessary to the existing crossing. That's important because it helps shape the needs of the corridor and the subsequent Bridge Street improvement project. Then in October 2013, the first open house on the project was held. And then February and March of 2014, the presentation was made to the city council and the school board. Subsequent to that, there was a second open house. And then on July of 14 rather, council authorized the preparation of plans and specifications for the utility portion outside of the county project. And that was to improve the sanitary sewer system along that corridor, as well as some water main improvements. Subsequent to that, the city signed the joint powers agreement between the city of St. Francis and Anoka County. And then in July of 2015, the city utility portion of the plans were approved by the council, and then September of last year, the project was awarded. Since September, some work on both the county portion and the city portion of the project has been completed. So the overall purpose of the project really had a few components, but ultimately pedestrian and vehicle safety was a primary concern along that corridor. Also, to reduce delay and improve circulation. As you'll know, early in the morning and late in the evening, that corridor is definitely very, very busy. Of course, the utility improvements portion that we talked about, and then ultimately the roadway surface was in need of repair. That provides a layout of the overall project, and you can see the roundabout proposed at County Road 24 and 72, as well as when you move east along the corridor at Bridge Street and County Road 9. In addition to that, the Carey Street existing connection to Bridge Street will be terminated, and a new road will be provided for that. So, funding associated with the project, the applications that I did mention earlier were submitted, and approximately $1.3 million in federal funding was provided. And then through the joint powers agreement and the separate city projects, county funds and city funds are also a part of that project. The schedule As I mentioned earlier, utility construction began in fall on a portion of the project. Actually, today, construction did resume on the city's portion of the utility project. And then the roadway reconstruction is expected to begin in June following the dismissal of school. Prior to that, the utility construction will continue, and the anticipated completion date at this point right now is November of 2016 this year, later this fall. So with that, Mayor, Council, that concludes my presentation. I would stand for any questions.
Anybody have any questions? Nope. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is ordinances and resolutions. We have a resolution 2016-12, authorizing or reauthorizing membership in the 4M fund.
Mayor Pro Tem, council members, this is just a housekeeping item. We invest money in the 4M fund, and they have a name change since we started, and if we want to continue to do anything with them, we just have to update that name change. This is their resolution for that. Okay.
Do I hear any motions to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve 2016-12.
And do I hear a second? Second. Okay, further discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor of 2016-12, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pass 3-0. And reports of consultants and staff members. We have engineer Pedersen Drive improvement bid results.
On Tuesday, April 5th, I received numerous bids for the project, so that's great. 7 bids were received for the project. In your packets this evening is a memo outlining both bids, but in summary, the bids range from a low bid in the amount of $646,152.72 to a high bid in the amount of $729,650.91. Based on the information enclosed in your packet, you'll note that a couple of those bids were within hundreds of dollars of each other. So the city definitely received favorable bids on that project. Again, Pedersen Drive improvements consist primarily of roadway improvements between Trunk Highway 47 and Vassar. At any rate, the project was conceived as a result of concerns relative to safety and speeds along that roadway. So the bids are in, they are favorable, and there's a resolution in your packet this evening. One thing I will point out is that the majority of the funding associated with the project is a result of the city's municipal state aid funds. That's the vast majority of it, and there's approximately $17,000 worth of utility type work associated with that roadway work. So with that, Mayor and Council, there's a resolution in your packet this evening, a resolution accepting bids and awarding the contract. So I'll answer any questions that we have.
Yeah. Chair?
Yes.
Got a quick question here. The speed limit is still 50 miles an hour through that whole road, is that correct?
That's correct at this point.
And there's no way, I know we've discussed this in the past, but there's no way we can lower the speed limit down?
Yeah, that's one of the discussions after the project has been completed. Council actually brought up here a year or so ago, but that speed limit will be evaluated after following completion of the project. Essentially, the project, as Pedersen exists right now, from 47 west of Fox will be concrete, curb and gutter, and it'll be restriped with narrower lanes. And after the improvements are done and the trail crossing and everything is installed, that speed limit can be reevaluated. So at this point, direction so far has been to hold to get that project done and then reevaluate it at that point.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I hear a motion for resolution 2016-13.
I'll make that motion to approve.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Not hearing any, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed 3-0. Okay, and we have nothing from the attorney, staff, economic development, land lease bid results.
Mayor and Council, Kate Lundstrom, Community Development Director. On March 7th, staff was directed to lease the 183 acres of property in Isani for the 2016 growing season. As found within your packet, a formal bid process was created to proceed. We posted the city's website with the bid packet and notice of an open bid process. A list of interested parties was contacted in regards to those that had bid in the past and those who had identified they were interested in knowing about this process. We published it in the paper on April 1st and bids were opened on April 13th. We were happy to have received 3 bids. The lease will be a 1-year term as directed with an automatic renewal for up to 2 additional years that will allow us the flexibility to meet needs if they do change on behalf of the city. After review of all of the bids, the highest and most responsible bidder was determined, and as identified in Resolution 2016-14, I am seeking approval to accept the bids and enter into a lease document with the highest bidder for an annual lease amount of $18,075.
Any questions?
One quick question here. $18,075, that's gonna be enough to cover the taxes and all the expenses on the property, is that correct?
Correct. That will cover the annual taxes and some of the expenses.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Good job, by the way. Do I hear a motion to approve resolution 2016-14?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, hearing a second. All in favor, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And passed 3-0. Okay, and we have, city administrator have anything I'd like to share tonight?
Just as I had shared with you, with council members, earlier today, the special meeting on Wednesday may get postponed an hour or so, depending on some scheduling issues that we have to work out. Other than that, I'll be in touch with everybody tomorrow to see if that is necessary.
Okay. Okay, reports from council members. Mr. Orpin, do you have anything to report tonight?
Nothing this week, no.
Mr. McClish?
Just one thing, our police chief, Jeff Hairpat, is retiring next week. He's been with the city of St. Francis for almost 30 years, right, Barb? Tonight was supposed to be his last council meeting, but could not make it tonight, so I just want to thank Chief Hairpat for his years of service to the city of St. Francis and also to the citizens, so he's done a great job over the years, so that's all I have.
I would agree with that. I have nothing to report tonight, and the mayor has nothing to report tonight. Do we have any old business? Okay.
This is regarding the speeding issue on Poppy Street. I had a couple citizens call me prior to tonight's council meeting. They're reporting that the speed sign is not working. They said they did call the police department, but they noticed that it's still not working. They reported that just over a week ago. And also these 2 citizens are reporting that the vehicles are driving way too fast. Usually between 2:30 and 6 o'clock, Monday through Friday. And they are just asking for any type of extra patrol. If officers have any downtime, they would greatly appreciate it. I know we've had a gentleman here that's attended many meetings here that has expressed the same concerns, so I just wanted to make staff aware of that. That's all I have.
I know that a lot of times it's working, but it's not on purpose to run a study so it has something to compare to see how effective the sign is. So that might be the problem.
Yeah. And I had 2 citizens that actually sat out there for 2 hours and watched it, so.
You know, that old one that we had that would, shut off
Yeah.
and see if the traffic patterns changed when it was lit up.
Do we know, is that a solar powered
You know,
sign?
I'm not sure how if it's battery operated or solar, but I know it can be turned on and off and be displayed in different ways. Whether that's the case or not, I'm not sure, but I'll pass this along to Chief Harapat and make sure that we get everything in order and maybe some extra patrols too, so.
Make sure you let them know by next Thursday, because it'll be his last day.
I'll let them know.
And could you put something in our off-week memo? That'd be
Yep.
great.
Thank you.
Any other old business? Any new business?
Nope.
No? Okay, motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Second.
second. Motion made second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, aye. Just to make you write something. We're adjourned.